Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Monica. I like to post anti-MLM life and some true crime content here on this channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to also like or dislike this video, whatever floats your boat. In today's video, I am going to be doing a mix of anti-MLM and true crime kind of a thing. So, of course, just as a disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only, just my opinions based on the research that I have done. I do also have to issue a true crime disclaimer, just like I do in all of my videos, but the following presentation is intended for mature audiences. It contains graphic descriptions of crime scenes, adult dialogue, and adult language. Viewer discretion is advised. If you do not know about the case of Ellery Bennett, we're gonna go over it, but he ended up taking his wife's life along with attempting to take his. However, he was not successful, and he is sitting in prison for the rest of his life. He was 47 at the time. He does have a family, obviously, and I just wanted to say, because this video is actually thanks to one of you guys. You had reached out to me and asked me to cover this because obviously it's MLM related and it's also true crime related, which is what a big chunk of my true crime videos are on this channel. But I guess let's just get into this case and what happened. What MLM was he a part of? Was he one of those online entrepreneur type things? And I put that in quotes and use that term very loosely in this case. But I wanted to start off with a quote that he said: "You can escape the rat race if you believe in yourself. You are serious about taking your life to another level. You are motivated. You have leadership skills, and you have what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur." Now, personally, from working a typical 9-to-5 and being stuck in that rat race, along with being in an MLM, along with also being a small business owner, there is a huge significance between being an MLM business owner, in quotes, and being a an actual small business owner. Going back to this rat race that he's talking about, if you're one of my anti-MLM subscribers, you know that I've talked about this multiple times, but there is nothing wrong with having a typical 9-to-5 office job and being part of that rat race. Does it get mundane after a while? Yes, it does. However, at the same time though, there's nothing wrong with wanting stability and benefits and knowing that if you go on vacation, you don't have to worry about your job. You can go on vacation. You don't have to work from anywhere on your phone. You can enjoy your time with your friends and your family. And you don't have to constantly be putting on this facade of your lifestyle is so great and making any kind of income claims, that kind of a thing. But Ellery Bennett was one of those typical MLM rep, self-help guru types. I've talked about a few self-help gurus here on this channel. I did a collab with Savvy over at Savvy Writes Books about Tony Robbins, and I also did a video on James Arthur Ray. And I also did a video on Brittany Dawn Fitness. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't really put her in the industry of self-help, so to speak, but I guess she kind of spills into that category as well. But she's all about fitness and all of that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, all of those videos are on my channel. They're recent videos, so you'll be able to find them. But anyway, Ellery had a beautiful wife named Lisa along with his family. Ellery seemed to want this whole work from home, dad, online, entrepreneur, successful mogul, that kind of a thing. So that's something that I have to reiterate multiple times in this. Keep it in mind. It has been said that he was also a fan of law of attraction. Now, there are people, we just had a discussion about this in my anti-MLM Facebook group. I saw someone post about it and then the post got lost, so I didn't even get a chance to read the comments or anything like that. But I did see that there were people engaging in the post. The law of attraction for some people has actually helped them and it has worked for them. However, there is a dark side to it as well. And it's one of those things where it can go either way. It could either be used for good or it could be used for bad, in my personal opinion. Allegedly. Don't come for me. With this whole thing of Ellery trying to be this online business mogul success story kind of a thing, he would end up racking up $600,000 in debt. At one point, him and his wife Lisa, they were sued by Paramount Bank for defaulting on $408,000 on loans. Their house at the time of everything that happened, it was underwater for $153,670. So of course, there's a lot of debt piling up, there's a lot of financial trouble, and he just keeps digging this hole further and further. Ellery had a website that was the wealthearner.com. He was very big on talking about his success and putting on this facade of he has this really amazing luxury lifestyle. There's a video that's still on YouTube of him in Hawaii. He's talking about how he's able to do this because of his business and the typical nonsense that we see from MLM reps. Along with this online business that he had, he also had an active real estate license. And with that, he had a few businesses that included EB Management, Motown Home Buyers LLC, Bennett Ventures LLC, and Kell Management LLC. At one point, it was said that he owned 12 homes in Detroit. However, now that I gave you a brief background of his story, how did this all start? How did he end up racking up all of this debt? How did he, as one of his family members said in an interview that I watched on YouTube, was that he just snapped? How did all of this start? Well, he started his path in the MLM or online business industry in March of 2007 when he joined an MLM company called Liberty League International, which is a self-help industry type of a company. They offer courses, one of which is a 90-day course to this supposed life-changing thing. So of course it was an MLM structure. By 2008, approximately a year after he joined LLI, I'm gonna say LLI because it's a tongue twister for me for whatever reason. But after he joined, after about a year in 2008, he would end up quitting his corporate job in the pharmaceutical industry, specifically sales. He was really good at sales. Apparently, he had a 6-figure income at that point, but he wanted more out of life. He didn't want to be constantly going to work. He didn't want to constantly work for someone. However, he would quit his full-time job and do LLI full-time. That's what he wanted to focus on. That's what he wanted his job to be. He would end up saying the following while he was in this particular MLM: I work for myself and I create the life I want for my family. I have time, freedom, and a tremendous lucrative opportunity. I live life on purpose. I know what I want. I believe in who I am, this company, and the products. Anyone can be successful. It's a choice, so choose wisely. We all know that MLM reps, this is a typical thing for them to say. They talk about how take control of your life. Let me paint this picture of this dream life for you. Let me paint this lifestyle that all of these people that are obviously going to these MLM reps, that they want to live out this luxury lifestyle. I mean, maybe not everybody. Some people join for other reasons, but it's just like he said, that he has time and he has freedom. So a lot of people are looking for that, because when you work a regular 9-to-5 job, nothing wrong with that. Honestly, I didn't mind having a 9-to-5 job. Did it get boring after a while? Yes, but at the same time, it was stable. It was stable income for me. I would get a raise every single year. I would get at my one job, I got multiple raises a year, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to live a stable life, okay? Let me just put that out there. His wife was also a very successful sales executive for another pharmaceutical company, by the name of Lilly Pharmaceuticals. And they both had, I mean, obviously they both had, their lives were almost set. They had the money, they had the beautiful home, they had they already had that lifestyle that Ellery so badly wanted. The only difference is that he had to be at an office. He had to work for someone else, but he was making more money doing that than he was in this MLM company. But anyway, in 2009, LLI became Polaris Media Group, which was an MLM that also sold self-development material. Fun fact, in 2009, the CEO of Polaris Media Group, at the time his name was Shane Carter, he had come out and admitted that he was a Scientologist. So a lot of times people in the anti-MLM community, they compare MLMs to cults. Specifically, a lot of us mention Scientology because Scientology is very well known. I feel like everyone knows what Scientology is and everything like that. There's actually someone that is on here that does anti-Scientology type stuff. If I remember, I will leave her link below. Her and I want to work on a collab together. I mean, Scientologists. Honestly, in my personal opinion, this has nothing to do with this story, but in my personal opinion, I would not be shocked if Scientology would end up coming out with like an underground MLM and not attaching it to Scientology and using the same exact tactics to put them into this MLM, which would in turn kind of maybe make them into a Scientologist. I feel like I just gave them an idea. I might cut this out of the video. But anyway, let's keep going. After LLI became Polaris Media Group, Ellery decided that he was going to join a different MLM company. This was in 2009, and he decided to join LGN Prosperity Group. And he was the typical fake it till you make it kind of an MLM rep. I mean, even with his debt and even with his failure in this online business type stuff, he still had a very big social media following. You would think that he would have some kind of a success because he has such a large platform. I think when there was one article, I'll leave it linked below, but the one article talked about how at one point he had 20,000 followers on Twitter or something like that. So you would think that he would be successful in this, but he was not. With all that being said, he would end up putting his family into an even bigger financial hole. And with all of this, after 13 years of marriage, his wife Lisa decided to serve him with divorce papers on August 11th of 2010. She couldn't handle it anymore, the financial strain, and it took a toll on their family. Because of all the financial strain, Ellery could not attest the divorce because he could not afford it. Lisa's lawyer would go on to interview. The interview is on YouTube, but her lawyer would go on and say that her divorce lawyer would say that he wasn't concerned for her safety. There was nothing that she said that would make him think anything. She did tell her lawyer that they did have some arguments, they did have some volatile arguments, but there wasn't anything like domestic violence. She said that maybe there was like a little bit of touching here and there, but she told her divorce attorney that she wasn't concerned for her safety, that she figured that yes, they would get into an argument, but nothing would happen. However, with all of the debt and being served divorce papers, Ellery, just like I said in the beginning, or according to some of his family members, just snapped. Their friends and family would go on to say that they were the ideal couple, that nobody knew what was going on behind closed doors. They didn't know that they were going through financial struggles or anything like that. After Ellery's wife told him about the divorce on August 11th, on August 18th is when Ellery would decide to take his wife's life. He would stab her 4 times in the shoulders, the back, and the neck. After he did that, he attempted to take his own life. However, he survived, and when he went to the hospital, because he went to the hospital, he told law enforcement that they would find his wife's body in their home. A physician at the hospital ended up saying that when Ellery had attempted to kill himself, that the wounds were superficial, and they would go on to testify and say that in court. Officials found 5 notes in the home, and they seemed to be suicide notes, and it also seemed to be addressed to certain people. One of them was addressed to one of their neighbors. At one point, Ellery had tried to convince one of his neighbors to join his team. And the neighbor decided that, I don't really want to do it because I don't really see how I can make money. And basically just said, like, I don't want to be a part of this. And the note that, one of the 5 notes that was found, had talked about how Ellery wanted to kill his neighbor along with his wife. And of course, the actions weren't taken. But in the note, it said, I was able to get one. My goal was to kill both of you. So obviously, his neighbor really got lucky. Along with that, there was another note that Ellery wrote, and he talked about how he hated Lisa for threatening to separate him from his family. He also didn't like that Lisa had an affair. There were infidelity issues. This note and what he said about Lisa was enough evidence to support their argument that Ellery had intentionally murdered his wife, that this wasn't just on accident, because at one point he would end up saying that he did it in self-defense, that she came at him with a knife and that he was just trying to protect himself, but these notes said otherwise. This was enough for their argument in order to say that this was intentional and that this was premeditated. And the neighbor was supposed to meet with Ellery the night before Ellery murdered his wife. So I know that I didn't say that just previously, but to kind of back it up to 1991, before all of this happened, Ellery was charged in 1991 for felony assault with a dangerous weapon. And with that charge, Ellery decided to plead guilty to a charge of misdemeanor assault or assault and battery for strangling his girlfriend at the time with a wire. And then after Ellery's trial in February of 2011, he was convicted of first-degree premeditated murder. And then on March 9th of 2011 was the day of sentencing. He ended up getting sentenced to a mandatory life sentence with no possibility of parole. At the sentencing, and when Ellery decided to address the victim's family and talk about his wife and what he had done, he would go on to say that he too was suffering because of his loss of his wife, and that he lost his wife and all of this kind of stuff. But the Oakland County Circuit Judge, Nancy Grant, she was not convinced at all of his speech, I guess you can say. She, in other words, and how I would say it, she thought it was all BS, because what she said after he said that, quote, he took a knife and carved her up. So obviously, and he did this as his wife slept. So obviously no one had any kind of, they didn't feel bad for him. He's going to prison where he deserves to be. There is another interesting turn of events as well, and we're going to go over the life insurance policy and also the appeal, because he did try to appeal. And Lisa Bennett had a $1 million life insurance policy where Ellery was the primary beneficiary. I could not find this anywhere, so this is just speculation on my part. This is my opinion. I think that maybe what happened was they were obviously experiencing these financial issues. I think that maybe how his family said that he just snapped. I think that he was expecting to get away with this, and he was expecting to get that life insurance money in order to pay off their debt and in order to have money. Now, I couldn't find this I couldn't find this in my research. So this is just my opinion. This is just me speculating. Or it can just be just like his family said, that he just had enough and that was it. But Lisa's mother, Doris, was the designated successor beneficiary. State Farm Life Insurance Company, they ended up putting out a complaint, and they filed asking for the Oakland Circuit Judge Rudy Nichols to let them know how the life insurance just how the money would be distributed. Who's supposed to get it? Because Ellery is going to be going to prison. He's on trial for the murder of his wife. And what about the mother of Lisa, so Doris, and the kids and stuff like that? So Doris's attorney asked the judge to order State Farm to send the life insurance money to Doris, who was Lisa's mother. Judge Nichols decided that Ellery Bennett's rights in the policy were revoked. And the reason why is because there is a Slayer statute that applied to the case. And under this statute, if a person kills, they will forfeit the benefits of for example, a life insurance policy or something else like an estate or something like that. And then in September of 2012 is where their appeal for this case was denied. And in his appeal of conviction, Ellery said that the evidence was insufficient to support his conviction. The reason why is because one of the testimonies from a neighbor had said that she was talking to Lisa, and Lisa had told her that Ellery's going to kill her. And so this neighbor went on the stand and said this. And so Ellery's team, they said, well, that's just hearsay. There's no proof that she's telling the truth. It's all just a he said, she said type of a thing. Well, the Court of Appeals ruled that there was enough evidence to convict Ellery, and it was proven that he was guilty of first-degree murder and the intentional killing of a human with premeditation and deliberation. I just don't see how Ellery's team would even think that they would win that appeal, because he murdered his wife. There was enough evidence to support that he murdered his wife. And just because someone went on to me, it doesn't make any sense. But to go on and to move on to my final thoughts on this whole entire case, because it's a really, really sad case. But there was an article that I read, and it was on this website called Mike Young Law. I'll leave it linked below. He wrote an entire article about this case, a little bit about Ellery's background, that kind of a thing. And there was, right at the end of the article, and I thought that this was a great way for him to end the article, but he says, P.S. If the internet gurus who sold Ellery Bennett on how to get rich online had any ounce of decency, they'd take the money he invested in their flopportunities and give the money to Bennett's daughter. She's going to need a lot of psychological and financial support in the coming years. I agree with him, because this poor girl, I believe she was 10 years old at the time when all of this happened. This poor girl lost her mom to the hands of her father. And then, not trying to defend him, but then she lost her father because he's going to sit and rot behind bars. And I feel so bad for her. The PTSD that she has probably had to go to therapy for and just have to deal. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. This is just my opinion and me just talking about it. But this poor girl, I mean, how do you come back from that? How do you come back from losing your mom, knowing that she was murdered by your father, and then he's going to sit in prison for the rest of his life? Now, I know that she can visit him in prison. I get that. But it's such a sad story. I agree with how he ended the article and how he said that if they had any ounce of decency, they would donate that money to the family and donate it to the daughter, because she has to grow up without parents. And to me, that's it's so sad, because she was so young when it happened. And yeah, some people might say, oh, well, it was 10 years ago. But think about where you were 10 years ago. When I think of 10 years ago, to me, that's like yesterday. And when you grow up 10 years in your childhood, in your teenage years, that's a long time for you to have to deal with this. And yeah, it might feel like it was yesterday, but that is so many years of having to constantly be reminded that you're never going to see your mother again. And you're never going to see your father walk free again, because he was sentenced to life in prison. which I think he should stay there. I'm not trying to defend him or anything like that. I'm just trying to kind of paint this picture of if I were his daughter, how I would feel. But this whole entire case was worst case scenario. I have had so many people come to me and tell me that MLMs have ruined their marriages, have ruined their families, have ended in divorce. Some almost got divorced. Some people have told me that they are still recovering from the MLM financially and mentally, because what people don't understand is that these MLMs have this cult-like mentality sometimes. Allegedly, my opinion, don't come for me. But a lot of the tactics that they use, cults use as well. And this is honestly worst case scenario. This is what we talk about when these MLMs, they ruin lives. A life was lost because of the debt that they endured from the husband constantly trying to be this online self-help guru, MLM rep kind of a thing. I'm not blaming the MLM companies that I talked about in this particular video, so don't try to sue me. I'm not blaming you. Because, of course, at the end of the day, yes, it was his choice to join. What these MLM companies made him have to go through and all of the financial hole that he put his family in, I mean, the proof is there that this happens. And I just feel so bad for the family and the victim's family. My thoughts are with the family and the victim's family and the daughter and everyone. My thoughts are with all of them, and I hope that they're doing okay. I hope that they're able to deal with the aftermath of what happened, and I truly hope that their daughter is doing okay. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Let me know if you've heard of this. I know one of you for sure has heard of this because you're the one that told me about it. But if you have any other cases that have to do with MLM, please let me know, because I have a whole entire playlist dedicated to MLM true crime, I guess you can call it that. And I guess with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like, dislike, subscribe, check me out on my social media, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Monica reporting to you live from a highway. Bye.